You don't need to raise your voice to prove your strength. In fact, the strongest minds are often the quietest. Their presence alone speaks volumes. In a world addicted to reaction, where people lash out, shut down, or give up at the first sign of pressure, the one who remains calm, composed, and clear is the one who commands the deepest respect. And if you're still watching, maybe you're searching for something deeper too. Not just noise, not just hype, but truth, stillness, power that doesn't come from force but from discipline. If that resonates with you, consider subscribing. This channel is small now, but the journey we're on is anything but. It's about building something rare. A mind so strong, so steady, it silences the world. And it starts right here. Stoicism isn't just philosophy from dusty bookshelves. It's not locked away in ancient libraries. It's a way of life forged on the battlefield, tested in the halls of emperors, and lived daily by those enduring loss, injustice, and heartbreak. From Marcus Aurelius to the modern day, the message has never changed. You cannot control the world, but you can master yourself. And that, my friend, is where true power begins. By the end of this video, you'll understand what it means to build a mind that doesn't just survive chaos, it commands it. A mind that intimidates not with volume, but with unwavering calm. One that people don't challenge, not because it's aggressive, but because it's unshakable. That's what we're building together. And it starts with one critical shift. Do you want a mind so strong it makes others stop and reconsider themselves? Then don't begin by pushing harder. Begin by letting go of the illusion that life is supposed to be easy. Because that's where suffering is born, in the belief that things should go your way. Events don't hurt us. Our thoughts about those events do. That's the first trap. That's the first wall we tear down. Most of us were raised to believe that if we work hard, life will cooperate. But Stoicism says something more honest. Life guarantees nothing. It's not cruel and it's not kind. It simply is. The shift begins when you stop wishing for a better world and start preparing yourself to meet it with strength. Not out there, in here. Look at the strongest people you know. They're not always the winners. They're the ones who keep standing when everything falls. They don't react emotionally. They pause, they breathe, and then they respond with purpose. That's what separates strength from spectacle. A resilient mind isn't built by taping affirmations to your mirror. It's built in silence, under pressure, when everything inside you screams to quit, and you take one more step anyway. That's the forge where real mental strength is formed. Viktor Frankl, who endured the unspeakable during the Holocaust, discovered something extraordinary. Even when everything is taken from you, one freedom remains, the freedom to choose your response. It may sound obvious, but it's revolutionary, because it returns power to you. Frankl didn't escape suffering. He transformed it. And in doing so, he found meaning. But to reach that point, you must change how you see adversity. Most people see hardship as punishment. A Stoic sees it as a test, custom-built for their evolution. Imagine your mind as a blade. Without heat, pressure, and grinding, it stays dull. But with it, you become sharp. There are no shortcuts, no exceptions. Have you noticed that those who overreact emotionally are often the ones who face the least real hardship? Meanwhile, those who've been through the depths of pain often respond with grace. They've been shaped, not shattered. And here's the good news. You don't have to wait for disaster to learn this. You can train your mind right now, today. Simply by noticing your reactions. Ask yourself, does this really matter? Can I see this differently? If I follow my emotions, what will it cost me? These aren't just questions, they're weapons, mental tools that cut through noise and impulse. So do the hard thing. Stop believing failure is wrong. See it as the first resistance. Your mind must overcome to grow strong, because you can't develop patience when everything arrives on time. You can't build conviction without opposition, and you can't forge inner strength without walking alone sometimes. A strong mind isn't born, it's built. And those who possess it don't need to prove anything. They don't say, "I'm fine," they are. They don't show off, they don't dominate. They've already fought and won the hardest battle, the one within. That's why their quiet strength makes people uneasy. Not because it's threatening, but because it reflects the chaos others still carry inside. And that's power. There's one practice you can begin right now. The next time something upsets you, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask is, "What is this trying to teach me?" That one shift in mindset will keep you grounded when the storm comes, because the world doesn't need to change for you to find peace. You do. And when you do, the world will feel different, because you've changed the lens through which you see it. A strong mind doesn't need armor. It doesn't seek applause. It doesn't try to impress. It simply holds steady. And in doing so, it shakes everything around it. But mindset alone isn't enough. There are habits, quiet, subtle ones, that eat away at your core. The ones you think are harmless. And if you truly want to become unshakable, that's what we need to look at next. Coming up, the habits you must break to grow stronger than ever before. Let's continue where we left off, because if you're truly building a mind that silences the world, you must first silence what weakens it from within. Not all battles are loud. Some begin in the quiet patterns of daily life, the ones that keep you stuck in the same place over and over again. It's rarely a lack of potential that holds us back. More often, it's the unconscious habits we've allowed to take root, habits that quietly imprison our minds. A strong mind isn't crafted from lofty thoughts or inspirational quotes. It's built through the hard, deliberate work of clearing away the mental clutter that accumulates over time. Ask yourself this: how can you become a warrior of the mind if every morning you wake up and slip right back into old loops of complaining, procrastination, and comfort-seeking? These aren't harmless indulgences. They're small, consistent choices that slowly dismantle your power. Complaining, for example, is deceptively sweet. It offers momentary relief, a sense of shared frustration, but it's a drug, one that numbs your sense of agency. Every time you grumble about your job, your co-workers, the weather, or traffic, you're telling your brain, "I'm powerless." And worse, over time you start to believe it. But think about it. Have you ever met someone truly composed and solution-focused who constantly complains? Probably not. That's because mentally strong people choose action or silence. If they can fix it, they do. If they can't, they release it. Everything else is just draining your energy. So the next time you catch yourself about to complain, pause. Ask, "What can I do right now to change this?" If the answer is nothing, then exhale, let it go, move forward. That's real strength. Another trap disguised as harmless is comfort. We're constantly lured by the easy chair, the quiet room, the familiar routine. But the comfort zone, that's where growth goes to die. Stoicism doesn't teach us to be emotionless. It teaches us to face discomfort head-on, because it's an inseparable part of life. Every time you skip a workout because you're tired, every time you stay silent out of fear, every time you delay a decision because you don't feel ready, you're sending your mind a message: today I choose not to grow. And growth doesn't come from what you read or listen to. It comes from the one thing we often avoid: choosing discomfort on purpose. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Say no when you mean no. Speak your truth kindly but clearly. Do the thing you've always avoided. That's how you stretch your inner frontier. But that's not the only sabotage we carry. We're also masterful excuse makers. I'm busy. I don't have time. I'm not that kind of person. These all sound reasonable, but most excuses are just fear, dressed in logic. fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of change. And when we repeat those excuses often enough, we start to treat them as facts. People with strong minds don't indulge in that cycle. They face reality. They take responsibility. They don't wait for motivation. They act on principle. They don't need the stars to align. They just need one reason that matters. So ask yourself, what part of your life is stuck because you keep making excuses? And there's one final habit, one we rarely acknowledge, but that quietly erodes our strength: the need for approval. We all want to be seen, liked, appreciated. That's human. But when your self-worth hinges on other people's opinions, you lose something more valuable than acceptance. You lose yourself. You start hesitating over important decisions, shrinking your truth to fit the mold of someone else's expectations. Slowly, your core fades. A Stoic knows the only approval that truly matters comes from their own conscience. Epictetus once wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The moment you stop needing applause, the moment you no longer fear being misunderstood, that's when you begin to taste real inner freedom. And here's the unexpected gift. When you let go of these old habits, you don't feel empty. You feel lighter, like cutting sandbags from a hot air balloon. You begin to rise. You don't need more. You need less. Less complaining, less comfort seeking, less excuse-making, less chasing of validation. And in that stillness, you'll meet a version of yourself you've never known before. Calm, clear, unshakable. Take a breath. Just one. Close your eyes if you need to. And ask yourself, honestly, am I nurturing my mind or sabotaging it? What's one thing I keep doing that I know is holding me back? You don't need to fix everything overnight. Just start today. Choose one habit you know is limiting you. And stop. No drama. No declarations, just act. Every small act of discipline is a hammer blow against the wall that separates you from your strongest self. And if you stay consistent, one day you won't have to pretend to be strong anymore. You will be. And that's when the real work begins, not just tearing down the bad, but building the good. That's where we go next. Coming up, the daily practices that will help you forge lasting inner strength and lay a foundation that doesn't crack no matter how chaotic life becomes. Let's pick up from where we paused, because once you've begun to strip away the habits that weaken your mind, it's time to rebuild. Strength doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's earned through repetition, choice, and discipline. What you do daily matters far more than what you do occasionally. Stoicism isn't a philosophy to admire from afar. It's a discipline to live, and you can't live it without practicing it every single day. Many still think mental strength is something mystical or genetic, something you're born with. But the Stoics knew better. The mind is a construction site. You build it, brick by brick, beam by beam, with discipline, willpower, and small, often overlooked actions, like taking a cold shower in the morning. That one act won't make you a hero. But it is your first test of the day. Will you choose discomfort to reclaim your control, or will you let routine, comfort, and hesitation drag you quietly back into weakness? Then there's movement. The body and the mind are not separate. A weak body struggles to support a strong mind. The ancient Romans understood this well. The body is the servant of the will. When you train physically, lift, run, stretch, walk, you're not just strengthening muscles, you're building endurance, sharpening grit, and most importantly, nurturing self-respect, because it's simple. You said you would, and you did. Rain or shine, watched or not, that consistency becomes your inner anchor. So ask yourself, when was the last time you kept a promise to yourself without witnesses, without reward, just because it mattered? But intensity is only half of the equation. The other half is depth. A true Stoic carves out a few minutes each Day to disconnect from the noise, shut off the distractions and truly listen inward. You can call it stillness, silence, or meditation. It doesn't matter what label you give it. What matters is presence, because here's a truth most ignore. No one can master their emotions if they've never taken the time to observe them. And when the world throws chaos at you, only this inner training can keep you from being tossed like a leaf in the wind. There's one more practice, often avoided, always powerful. Challenge. Choose to challenge yourself daily, not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but to sharpen what lies within. Wake up when the alarm rings. Don't hit snooze. Send the message you've been putting off. Say no when your boundaries are being tested. Try something new that makes you feel awkward, unskilled, uncertain. These may seem like small acts, but each one places another brick in the fortress of your will. Avoid them, and you're digging holes instead. Deep, invisible gaps in your confidence. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You don't need to explain this. You need to live it, the freedom you're seeking. It's not in your circumstances, it's in your choices, it's in your ability to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. So be honest. When was the last time you deliberately chose the harder path over the easier one? When did you last say no to comfort so you could say yes to growth? A strong mind doesn't broadcast its strength. It just shows up. Steady, quiet, grounded. It doesn't overreact. It doesn't need to win. It doesn't need praise. But people will feel it, and sometimes they'll fear it. Because nothing unsettles a noisy world more than the presence of someone who is unshakably calm. If you want to build that kind of strength, don't wait. Don't delay. Start today. Better yet, start right now. Take a cold shower. Move your body. Sit in silence. Do the hard thing you've been avoiding. Not because you're motivated, but because you've made the decision to become unbreakable. No cheering, no applause. Just the quiet knowing. You're becoming solid as stone. And if you feel tired, discouraged, tempted to quit, pause. Breathe. Notice. That discomfort isn't here to destroy you. It's here to test you. It's asking, are you ready for the stronger version of yourself? Because when you begin to feel the shift, the calm in chaos, the control over anger, the grip over fear, you'll know. You're not the same anymore. And that's when you're ready for the next lesson. The one that separates those who pretend from those who prevail. Coming up next, how to rethink failure, not as something to fear, but as a forge to make you unshakable. Let's move forward, because once you've begun to build inner strength, through daily practice, there's still one obstacle left that trips up even the best of us: failure. Not just experiencing it, but how we perceive it, respond to it, and whether we dare to face it at all. If in the past, when you failed, all you did was blame yourself, lash out, or seek comfort, then you missed a rare opportunity to sharpen your mind. A strong mind isn't the one that has all the answers. It's the one that can sit in the discomfort of failure and ask, what are you here to teach me? The people we respect most, the truly unshakable, aren't those who never fail. They're the ones who've asked that question over and over, patiently waiting for the lessons hidden beneath the pain. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Catherine Schultz even wrote a whole book called Being Wrong to highlight a truth many avoid. The best. People are often the ones who've been wrong the most, but they don't get stuck in their failures. They study them, like scientists observing a difficult experiment. No excuses, no defensiveness, no shame, because they know that if you fail, you learn, and if you learn, you grow. That's how they keep moving forward while others cling to being right. So pause for a moment. Reflect. What mistake still echoes in your mind? What failure are you still letting define your next move? The ego that refuses to admit fault, that's the most silent, most comfortable prison you'll ever live in. A Stoic doesn't deny their flaws. They welcome them as the first stepping stones to strength. Because if you can't face being wrong, you'll never be ready to grow. Take Sarah Blakely, the world's youngest self-made female billionaire. Her father asked her a powerful question every day. What did you fail at today? It may sound harsh, but it was an act of love most parents are too afraid to offer. He trained her to embrace failure, not as proof of weakness but as evidence she was reaching for something greater. When her idea for Spanx was rejected again and again, she didn't crumble. She didn't see rejection as a stop sign. She saw it as a step closer to a yes. Maybe you think you're nothing like her, but what if you are? The only real difference might be that she trained her mind not to flinch when the world said no. Stoics train the mind like blacksmiths temper steel. They know no blade is sharpened in warm water. Failure is the forge, the heat, the hammer, and every time you fall you get to choose. Shrink back into who you were or take the fire and become someone new. As Epictetus said, difficulties show men what they are. Not success, not praise, not applause. It's failure, hardship, and loss that strip away your pretense and force you to see what truly remains. And only when you look at that honestly does rebuilding begin to matter. But here's the truth. Most of us were never taught how to fail well. We were taught to win, to get A's, to outperform others, but no one teaches you how to stay whole when someone you love leaves, or how to look at a report card full of F's without believing you're worthless, or how to fail and still sit in the pain without running away. A Stoic isn't someone who feels nothing. They're someone who feels deeply, but refuses to drown in it. If you want to build a mind that makes others hesitate before underestimating, you don't start with your strengths. Start with the failure you're still too scared to face. Write it down. Look at it. Don't judge it. Just learn from it. And the next time failure knocks, don't hide. Don't pretend you're not home. Open the door. Pour it a cup of tea and ask, what are you here to teach me this time? If you've made it this far in the journey, you're not just passively listening. You're actively stepping into the fire. And we're not here to pat you on the back. We're here to remind you of what's been dormant inside you all along. The stronger version of you is still waiting, and failure is holding the key, so stay with me. What's next won't be a repeat. It's the next strike of the hammer in the forge of your becoming. No one can do this for you. But if you keep going, if you keep rising, trust me, the world won't be able to ignore you. Coming up, mastering your emotions under fire and becoming calm in moments most people break. After failure has tested your resolve, the next battlefield is your emotions, especially when life gets heated. Think back to the last time someone said or did something that truly stung. Maybe it was a sharp comment, a cold glance, or a dismissive tone in a meeting. Did your body tense? Did your heart race or your fists clench? That instant surge of emotion is natural, almost primal. But here's the deeper truth. It's not always helpful. Emotions, like steam in a pressure cooker, can either be destructive or transformative. If you remove the lid too soon, the pressure explodes, scalding everything around you. But manage the heat, you get a nourishing meal. The key isn't to eliminate emotions, it's to master the flame. Stoicism doesn't demand you be a robot. It asks one essential question: is this worth my peace of mind? Is it worth 3 sleepless nights over one cruel comment? Is it worth slamming a table or sulking for hours over a glance? Emotions are not the enemy. They're signals, and you can learn to read them rather than react to them blindly. Picture this: a job interview. The candidate is well qualified, but the interviewer raises an eyebrow skeptically. Instead of shrinking or becoming defensive, the candidate smiles and says calmly, "Is there something on your mind?" I'd be happy to clarify. Silence follows. The message is clear, not just through words but presence. I'm not easily rattled. And that calm, grounded energy, that's the kind of strength that commands respect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not poetic fluff. It's radical accountability. Because if you truly believe you control your mind, then there's no excuse for losing it over someone else's behavior. I remember hearing a man say, "It took me 15 years to stop arguing back when my wife is upset, not because I'm weak, but because I've learned she doesn't mean it in that moment, and I choose not to add fuel to the fire." That man had never read a page of philosophy, but he embodied Stoic wisdom more than most scholars. Pausing before reacting isn't a clever trick. It's a discipline, one you build with practice. Try this. Every morning remind yourself, today I won't react too quickly. Then, when tension rises, just count to 5. No deep breathing rituals, no affirmations. Just count, because what you say next matters. And if you say it while gripped by emotion, odds are you'll regret it. There's a line in the Bible that captures it well. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. Wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing when to hold back. Practice this for a week and you'll notice something remarkable. People respond to you differently. Not because you've become more powerful, but because you've become harder to provoke. Your presence starts to carry weight. The kind of quiet strength that can't be faked. Staying grounded in conflict is one thing, but staying composed while someone throws emotional fire at you, that's real inner power, and that's where we're headed next, building an unshakable mental core. The kind of calm that doesn't crack under chaos, but stands tall even when everything else is crumbling. Staying grounded in conflict is one thing, but staying composed while someone throws emotional fire at you, that's real inner power. And that strength doesn't come from luck or inspiration. It comes from discipline, from the quiet moments when you choose not to snap. When instead of reacting, you remind yourself, "I've been through worse, I can handle this." That's stoicism, not a grand philosophy, but a single moment of clarity that changes everything. Picture your mind like a house. When storms rage outside, the fragile run out to check what's happening. But the Stoic, they close the door, lock the windows, and steady everything from within. Because chaos is inevitable, but your response doesn't have to be. This is how you begin to take control. You train yourself to recognize which reactions aren't worth your energy. Maybe it's someone cutting in line, or your phone buzzing endlessly, or spilling coffee on something important. Pause in that moment and ask, is this emotion helping? If not, why carry it? Every time you choose calm over chaos, you lay another brick in your inner foundation. Not loudly, not for praise, but quietly, day after day. And eventually people start to notice. They might not understand you, but they won't be able to ignore you. Because while others get rattled, you stay solid. Let me share a story. Not for drama, but because it might mirror something in your own life. Mark was a delivery driver from Cincinnati, Ohio. 12-hour shifts, sending money to support his mother fighting cancer, drowning in student loan debt from a degree he never finished. One icy night his truck skidded. Crash. Job gone. A week later his girlfriend left. Her note said, "I can't live in this uncertainty." He sat alone in a freezing apartment with thin blankets, a dying heater, and $72 to his name. He didn't post about it. He didn't ask for sympathy. He opened his phone, typed in his notes, "No one's coming, so I have to come for myself." 3 months later, he found work at a local auto shop. 1 year later, he was fixing the same truck model he once crashed. 7 years later, he published a book titled Enduring didn't make me strong. Rebuilding did. So what does that mean for you? Try a simple habit. Every night before bed, write down one moment in your day when you lost control. Then list 3 ways you could have responded if your core had been stronger. Do this consistently. You'll realize strength doesn't come from feeling powerful, but from becoming less shakeable, one decision at a time. People won't fear you because you shout or dominate. They'll respect you because you don't waver. When they lash out, you stay centered. Your calm becomes a mirror, and not everyone is ready to face what they see. If you've come this far, there's something you need to understand. Mental strength won't make the road easier, but it will keep you standing when everything gets harder. And to walk that road fully, you need more than strength. You need discipline. Motivation may visit when it feels like it, but discipline, that's what carries you when motivation is nowhere to be found. And that's our next lesson. Why discipline beats motivation. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't need applause or attention. It simply shows up every single day, doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation. It comes and goes, it's a spark. But discipline is the fire that stays lit through wind and rain. If you rely only on motivation, you'll move when the mood is right and stall when discomfort creeps in. But if you build your life on discipline, you'll move forward regardless of how you feel. Discipline is invisible, yet everyone feels it when it's present. It reveals itself in the quiet decisions, when you speak less and act more. When you lace up your shoes and head to the gym, even if it's pouring outside. When you choose a clean meal over junk because your goal matters more than a craving. People may call it persistence, but deep down you know it's not about willpower anymore. It's a decision that no longer needs to be made. It's already made. It's a reflex. Think about the people who succeed again and again. They're not always the most talented or the most inspired. They're the ones who show up every day, no matter what. A writer who writes with no brilliant ideas, an athlete who trains through heartbreak, an entrepreneur who keeps reading, learning, improving, especially after setbacks. They don't live on motivation, they live on systems. Got a goal? That's great, but goals are only direction. Systems are what move you. Schedule those 5 workouts. Toss the junk food from your kitchen. Write 500 words, even if you think it's garbage. Discipline isn't about being strict. It's about being loyal to your future self. In a noisy world, true power isn't in shouting louder or being flashier. It's in quiet consistency. You don't need to post about your efforts. You don't need to announce your habits. Let the results do the talking. People notice. They'll wonder how you stay on track when they keep falling off. They'll ask how you manage to move forward when everything feels heavy. And your answer? It won't be glamorous. It'll be simple. I do it because I said I would. That kind of steadiness makes people pause. It reflects their own chaos. And not everyone is ready to face that. So ask yourself, did today reflect someone who's in control? Or someone who just followed their moods? Did you stick to what mattered, or just chase whatever felt easy? If you already know systems work, what are you waiting for? It starts small. One action, then another. No drama, no spotlight, just steady progress. And over time, that builds more than strength. It builds a life, one that others admire but can't replicate. Because discipline, it can't be copied. It must be earned. Choice by choice, day by day. Live that way long enough and something shifts. You become unshakable. While others wait for perfect conditions, you create them. While they flinch, you flow. We've now walked through 7 timeless principles that build a mind so strong, so calm, so consistent. It commands quiet respect, not because you shout, but because you don't waver. Stoicism won't give you magic. It offers something better. Tools. Tools to live rightly, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. And the more you choose to keep going, When everything in you wants to stop, the stronger you become. One day someone will ask you how you stay so steady, and you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because you practiced. And if you've made it this far, I want to hear your story. What are you working on? What challenge are you facing? Drop a comment, let's connect. And if this journey speaks to you, don't leave just yet. Subscribe to Stoic Havenway. This is only the beginning. Together, we'll keep walking the quiet path to power.